Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substack. This week, we are going to be taking a look back at the 2025 summer transfer window. Now we're nearly at the midway point of the season. It's time to assess some of the incomings and outgoings and whether they were any good. It's Friday. Friday feeling after a 1-1 draw with Genoa.
Whew. What a game. What a
Genoa,
game.
thanks.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, hell of a game. Obviously, we're not going to deep dive on that because we will talk about it on the main podcast. But fair to say, against another team in a relegation battle, which they are now, Fiorentina have started winning. Shock horror, we play them next. It was as difficult as we feared it might be, and there was a lot of drama. There's a lot that we're going to have to unpack there. But yeah, it's just put a little bit of a negative spin on things.
Yeah. Everyone expected to jump a few. We don't have to. What am I doing? I'm getting into review. But yeah, fuck 'em.
Yeah, it was crap. Yeah, Mariani disgraced as always. We had three.
That's crazy, by the way. The VAR chief is the same guy from every penalty we've conceded this season. That's insane. And the one from Lazio that we didn't concede, but I thought should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We will go through all of those controversial incidents on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we sit down for the next main pod. But fair to say, things are festering a little bit now. Looking on social media and stuff like that. But anyway, we dust ourselves down, we go. Sometimes a game like that as well is good to give us a little bit of clarity when we talk about things like the summer window. Because, when you're coming into it after 2 wins and 2 clean sheets, you might have a tendency then to overhype what you're seeing, because things are feeling good. But now it's just a little bump. Not like we lost, the unbeaten run keeps going. And I thought, actually, again, don't want to go into review, but balance play, we probably deserve to win that one. That's just my opinion. But yeah, it's just a bit of a bump down to earth. So we are going to go through each operation that was completed in the summer transfer window, and we are going to give them a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a jury's out. I think it will become apparent what the jury's out is for when we talk about, some of the players that haven't played as much, and therefore we don't really know how they're going to do. But we're going to start with the outgoings because perhaps, although there's some interesting cases in here, it's not as divisive, shall we say, as some of the signings that we made in the summer window. So I'm going to display the little graphic there. We've got 6 outgoings. We haven't included youth players here. This was in our review actually that we published on the site just after the window closed, so you can go and find the details of each operation, but this isn't all of them. So, for example, there's some in there that people are going to shout about, like Pierre Kalulu. Technically, he became a permanent Juventus player, but it wouldn't make sense to judge that as an operation from this summer. Players left on free transfers to Florenzi, Luka Jovic, and stuff like that. Obviously, yeah, we're going to have to just kind of stay on the straight and narrow with this. Otherwise, we could do like 15, 20 of them. Let's start with the contentious ones then. Tijjani Reinders. We got a fee of, I think it was 55 million plus bonuses for him in euros, that is. How do we feel about that one? He's had a mixed time at City, but he seems to be kind of peaking again.
So are we basing this on how they're doing at their new club or how they would be doing in the current Milan squad?
A bit of both. It's got to be a bit of both to determine whether 57 million was the right price, and whether you can offset that by saying we would have been so much better off with him in the team. I think it has to be an overarching assessment on how we feel about that. Are we still gutted that he's gone, or has our midfield moved forward without him?
Well, I feel crazy saying this after Fofana played dodgeball yesterday in the box, but I think I am fine with the move now. Obviously, Modric was coming regardless of whether we sold Reinders or not, and Rabiot wasn't in the plans until the last day, but I think our midfield is in a good spot. Obviously, jury's still out on Jashari because we haven't seen a whole lot of him, and he had an injury the first half of the season, and I guess we will talk about that later. But when I look at the current midfield, I think it's better than last season, and maybe it's just the formation we're playing and, you know, some of the parts and all that, and the manager and everything else. But I don't think we're missing Reinders as much as we probably should be. If he was still here and he was playing, say, in place of Fofana, we very well could be, 10 points clear at the top, something
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, the, I'm not breaking any eggs over this. It's fine. I'm okay with it. It was a good sum of money at the time. Obviously, frustrated, dejecting, and we all were kind of like, what are we doing here? And the depth would be nice, but I do think our midfield weirdly is our deepest sector, even if it still has a Fofana, a Loftus-Cheek. But Loftus-Cheek's actually improved this season, and I think Fofana is, for all his negative aspects, he has had a few positive ones. And yes, Reinders is better than both of those guys. But I think we're in a better place now than we were with him, and that's not because he left, but I'm okay with the move because of the money that it allowed us to spend elsewhere, and maybe it wasn't all spent correctly, but the point I'm getting at is the midfield is fine without him.
Yeah, I agree with that as the overall point. I think if you look at a 1-for-1 basis, if as you said, if you plug Reinders into that right-sided box-to-box role, we probably are doing a bit better in terms of output. However, I questioned at the time what Allegri would have actually done with Reinders, because Allegri loves runners. He loves people who work hard in both phases. All three midfielders have to do that. We've seen that with his selections. They have to contribute in both phases. I think one of the criticisms of Reinders that's followed him into his time at Man City is that if he's not on the ball, he's not doing a lot. And we found that in transition, with Fofana left alone on his island and the 5-0-5 and all that stuff. We've seen it. He crashes the box. That's what he does. Now, if Allegri was set on a 3-5-2, could he have adapted it slightly to like a 3-4-1-2 to get Reinders a bit further forward? Don't know. There's an interesting tactical discussion to be had about how Allegri would have fit Reinders into his team. I think what's an interesting caveat to it all, and obviously we're going to talk about it with the incomings, is that we sold Reinders in theory to fund the rebuilding of the midfield. Modric, as you say, was coming regardless. He came for free. Rabiot came for €7 million. That was a late window opportunity. We paid 20 something for Ricci. We paid 30 odd for Jashari. The two players that we spent the Reinders money on are not starters, and that should be a worry, right?
Yeah.
That to me suggests we actually sold a starter and acquired two backups with the same money. And Allegri doesn't seem to trust them. I know Jashari's been out for a while. We'll come on to him, but he doesn't seem to trust the players that we use the money to sign. And therefore, I think that, I'm just looking at Reinders' numbers here with City. Obviously, he's playing in a better team. He's surrounded by quality. He's got, he's feeding Erling Haaland. He's got Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Rodri, and all these players around him. I don't blame him for the move. World-class team, and he's hoping to take that next level. And he's playing Champions League football, blah, blah, blah. He's got 11 goal contributions in 28 games, which isn't a bad return. But I think it's a funny parallel that I don't think Pep fully trusts Reinders yet either. So it's interesting how that exchange has all happened, and what you've got is two coaches who don't see, the end product of that exchange as being the fix. So I don't know. I find it interesting.
I want to touch on Ricci and Jashari for a second here, because and maybe we'll probably get to them in the incomings, but I don't think it's that he doesn't trust them. I think it's that he doesn't know where to play them, because both of them really would do the Modric role, and no one's benching Modric, So I think it's more that. I think it's more you guys will be stars in a year or two, and for now, sit back, learn from a Ballon d'Or winner, and just grow your experience. But you're absolutely right. We essentially did sell our starter and best player from last season for two backups.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Do you know what though? Reinders is. I said this at the time, and people sort of overlook it. Reinders is 27. He's not a 22-year-old that we let go for half of what his true potential value could be, or whatever. I think we maybe did cash out at the peak with him. I know that's not the way that we want to think as football fans. We want to keep all of our best players and we want to build around them. But just from a purely transactional point of view, if you look at the team being better, you look at the midfield being deeper, and you look at, I think it's fair to say results have reflected a more balanced style of play and everything like that. I am going to give it a thumbs up. I don't miss him so much that I feel horrible about this.
Yes,
Is that
same.
mad? Is that mad?
No,
I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
Because it's of course he could go and have a fantastic World Cup as well, and he could go deep in the Champions League and all that. And it's like, oh wow, look what we had. But I don't know.
And maybe it's just because we're so ingrained into this team and the sport that the business side of it doesn't impact me anymore. Incomings and outgoings, that they rarely hurt me as they once did when I was younger. And so if it comes down to how the team is performing, right? If we were in 8th again, I'd be like, yeah, just think if we had Reinders, we could at least be in 6th, but we're in 2nd. We had a chance to be 1st yesterday or whatever. Like, I'm not going to cry over a former player when we're winning.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree. Speaking of which, let's move on to Theo Hernandez. Left under a cloud, I think, would be the fairest way to put it. He went to Al Hilal for 25 million euros. They were pretty much the only club, I think, to meet our asking price after a down season where he struggled. I'm going to say on and off the field and just leave it at that. But yeah, he was not in his best form. There was a bit of speculation about whether Allegri might come in and say, look, I can work on you. Let's stay around, put the contract to one side, that kind of thing, as he did with Maignan, who also wanted to leave. I know Zoe Christofoli has come out this week and given an interview saying he would have sold his soul to stay at Milan. Well, he should have played like it, in my opinion. But yeah, we got 25 million. It's one of those out of sight, out of mind things. Like Reinders has gone to a team that we have to see a lot because of what City are. I haven't seen Theo Hernandez play. To be honest, I think you saw him live, didn't you?
Had you gone by then? No, it was the first game prior. It was Inzaghi's first game live with Al Hilal. Yeah. It's, I did look the other day because I saw that the rumors linking him to Juventus. He's done very well in Saudi. He's been in their team of the season or whatever already. So, and look, that's to be expected, to be honest with you. I'm not shocked at all that Theo Hernandez is thriving in that environment. But look, the last 2 seasons, he didn't give us anything defensively. And this is another case of where I think Bartosaghi is a better defender than Theo Hernandez. Today's Bartosaghi is better than today's Theo in defense.
Yeah.
Now, would I love to have this Theo going forward in a 3-5-2 with Leao, Pulisic up front in an Allegri team? Yes, I think he would probably be on 6 or 7 assists right now, maybe 3 or 4 goals. I think he'd really be doing good. That said, his defensive liabilities over the last 2 years cost us in so many games. He is the reason we were eliminated from the Champions League. He is the reason we were eliminated from the Coppa Italia final. I guess not eliminated, but you know what I mean. Lose the final. He himself cost us points last season. There's too much drama around him. Now, I don't think there'd be drama this year under Allegri. I really don't. Allegri's a much better man manager than Fonseca or Conceição. And I don't like the way he was pushed out. And the other thing is, again, his replacement has become a backup. The money we spent on Estupiñán, he did not work out. When Estupiñán played the first few games, I thought we made a mistake. But with Bartosaghi, I'm very happy. And in a way, I think it's best case scenario because if Theo was still here, we would not be seeing Bartosaghi. I guarantee it. And I think it's time for him. I'm tired of Milan having these great teen kids come up that are so hyped and so much potential. We just talk how great they are. And then they go on loan for 5 years and then they're gone. And then they're a Colombo at Genoa who just going to score against us and do nothing with the rest of his career. And I don't want that. I'm happy to see a youth product actually come through the ranks and become a starter and become a fan favorite, I would say. I mean, I think he's a really good player. And so for me, this is a thumbs up solely on the fact that without this move, we don't see the rise of Bartosaghi. And that's way more important to me than Theo.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think I'm giving it a thumbs up as well. I think his time had come. I didn't see anybody kicking and screaming at the time when we got 25 million euros for him, knowing that he probably wasn't going to renew because we wouldn't have offered him a pay rise, which he would have thought that he deserved as a loyalty bonus and stuff like that. But also, I think he checked out. I really do. And it's all right to come out afterwards and say, I would have stayed and all this stuff, but we didn't see it in action. We didn't. He completely gave up at times last season, and you can't keep someone like that around